All right, here we are. Good morning, Hoosier Nation, and welcome to another victorious edition of the Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Western Illinois with a wonderful display by the team. Obviously, a game that we knew we would win, and we knew we would do well in. At least hoped we would. Didn't want to struggle like many of the other Big Ten teams did last night. But IU came out fairly well last night. We had a good starting group that put us out there with Justin, Al, Joey, Trace, Armand, and Rob. Rob did not start. Armand, Trace, Joey, Al, and Justin were our starters last night. Started off fairly well. We put the team ahead in the lead. We had a 3-minute kind of drought there where I believe we got away from attacking. We did a lot more standing around again. We weren't putting the pressure on the ball that we needed to. That allowed Western Illinois to get back in the game. At one point, they were leading by 2, by 1. It was kind of back and forth for a little bit. But a good media timeout allowed Archie to kind of corral the guys, get them back together, and we got back on pace. We did what we needed to and kind of put it away from that point on, leading by 20, I believe, 21 at half, and then just came in the second half and just continued to dominate. Good ball pressure, a lot of fast breaks. Again, as advertised by Coach Miller, how he wanted this team to play with defense creating offense. That was definitely shown last night. A lot of active hands, a lot of steals, a lot of breakaways. Immediately when the ball was loose, guys were diving for it. Any other guys around were ready to take off. And fast break points, we led 31-5. Hopefully that's a stat that we see that high for the rest of the season. That's one of the kind of things that this team's going to be able to hang their hat on. Older guys helped really to rally us around. Last night, they were really kind of the leaders. And by that, I mean our juniors. That's kind of really the story last night. Our junior players were ones that really bought in and were really playing very well. Justin Smith obviously looked very locked in. He let the game come to him. He felt honestly a little too good, a little too confident at one point. He took a couple heat checks, mid-range jumper that he missed, and a three-pointer that he missed. He did make a three-pointer. I believe that one was from the top of the key. He took one from the side that was close. I mean, it hit some rim, but not an air ball by all means. But that is part of his game that is not quite there yet, but could get there, and will be amazing if it does, because that'll just open up things for him with his athleticism. If guys have to come out and honor that three-point shot, he's going to be able to get around guys. He's going to be able to drive it in. You're going to see him just more confident again. You're going to see him relaxed, comfortable. Ryan last night on assembly call said that word, comfortable, and I think that's a great word for him and for this team overall. This team feels a lot more comfortable out there on the court. Granted, I know we've only seen 2 games, and they haven't been against teams that are going to really challenge us. But still, last year, we saw a lot of unease and a lot of stiffness and a lot of struggles with looking comfortable and being comfortable in our own skins and playing the game. And it's nice to see a lot more of that comfort being there. Some guys, Joel, you might be able to respond to this and let me know what it looked like, but the team looks like, again, they're having fun out there. Looks like they're enjoying themselves. It's hard to tell because I watch these BTN Plus games on my computer on a small screen, and last night especially while juggling 2 kids, feeding them dinner and everything like that. But still, it looks like they're having a good time. And why wouldn't you? As a basketball player, that's the kind of game you want to have. You want to have the game where you're able to have those highlight dunks. You're able to have those great moments. And I mean, speaking of that, even too, Justin Smith had some fantastic dunks, some great breakaways. And if you go to Indiana's Twitter account, you can see a highlight where they do that 360 camera that moves around, and Al Durham is tailing behind him, and at the top of the arc, the moment that Justin Smith takes off to dunk the ball, so does Al at the 3-point line, pumping his fist, jumping in the air. He's loving it. He loves this sport. Al is just, he is, again, this is the game as advertised. Archie Smith advertised that Al Durham is playing amazing in practice, and he's playing fast, and he's a great leader. And we got to see all of that. Al was really locked in. He was playing fast. He was getting into the right positions, putting himself in the right positions, hitting 3-pointers. He hit 3-pointers. We hit 3-pointers. Again, not cornerstone of this team, nothing that we're going to hang our hat on, but we hit him. Al hit him. He found himself in a good spot. His stroke looked great. He's just, I can't say enough about the kid. The kid's committed to this team. He's committed to the school. If you see, he's goes to the women's basketball games. He is just very active out there in the sporting scene. He is what this culture is becoming and what this culture needs. Again, if you haven't looked at the stats, Al was perfect last night. He was 7 for 7 for field goals, 3 for 3, 4 for 4 in free throws. Had 4 defensive rebounds, had 1 turnover. So, I mean, he looked really good out there. He looked very comfortable. And in the early going, we're going to count on that because we aren't the deepest in the guard position, and we are going to need him to have games like this. We had 2 leaders in that sense in scoring over 20 points. That will not be the norm this year. It's going to be more like the Gannon game where we have more scoring by committee. We won't see very oftentimes. We might see one player get into 20 plus points, but I think overall what we will find the average to be is most guys will be around the 10s to 15s. Would be lucky to see if we get anything else. Rob played a good game. Rob played a physical game. Again, not looking like his abdomen issue, whatever that issue is that he is dealing with, is bothering him too much. He was able to get out there and play a pretty good game. He was 6 for 10. He was 1 for 2 from 3-point line. So he was able to nail down at least one of his 2 threes. I think the other one was very close. Had 2 defensive rebounds and 3 turnovers. He's the one that had the most turnovers. But again, he's going to be one that I think is going to put himself in those positions as a point guard. He had 3 assists, so 3 and 3, so even those out. Obviously, you'd like to see assists a little bit higher than those turnovers. But overall, the team, I think, had 11 turnovers. Coach Miller was trying to keep that around 10 or so the team stayed in their wheelhouse as far as that goes. Jerome Hunter played a good game. Defensively, he was good pressure on the ball. He was getting himself in the right position to score points. He was 2 for 5, not for 1 on the 3-pointers, 3 for 4 for 3 free throws, and just had 1 turnover, no assists. He looks like he's so close. Again, I spoke about it last week. He's there. He's doing what he needs to. The ball, the shots that are missing aren't missing by much. His form looks good. He needs that. It's that last bit of rust that is sitting on him. That's just slightly like something on his wrist or something somewhere that's just slightly keeping the ball from going in. But everything else just looks so nice in his game. His movement, he doesn't seem limited. He doesn't seem in pain at all. He does seem like his conditioning might be down a little bit. We were talking live chat last night, and someone saw, I think it was Jared, saw him call himself out. So he did ask to sit out for a little bit. And there's another time during an inbound play where he was defending one of the Western Illinois players that you kind of saw his face a little bit more. You saw a closer shot of him, and he did look a little more gassed. He just looked a little tired from the game. He played 16 minutes, so that's not a ton of minutes, but that might be where we see him averaging of what he can handle, where he is currently. Armand Franklin and Al pulled the most minutes at 27. That's obviously going to happen with trying to ease in Rob Fennessy back into his game, and with not having Devontae. Devontae will steal some minutes from there, and we'll see more rounded guard minutes going forward. Race had a good game doing race things. Again, not lighting up the stat sheet, but being physical, playing underneath the basket, doing what he needs to, cleaning up. So, I mean, he amazingly didn't have any blocks or steals. Felt like he did in my mind when I think about it, but had 6 rebounds. Was just in good position. The one thing that I will say with our bigs last night, I didn't feel like they made the greatest impression. I didn't feel like they were there as much. And bigs, by bigs, I mean Race and Deron Davis and Joey Brunk. While Joey Brunk played 21 minutes and scored 11 points, he did, again, on the stat sheet have it. But as my memory serves me, I don't have a bright memory of him doing a lot of things. Again, going back and reviewing, I might see it more. Again, Justin Smith and Al Durham's performance really kind of overshadows a lot of the other guys that just kind of went in there and played well and did what they needed to do. But Deron Davis not only playing 8 minutes, not making a basket, making 2 free throws, 2 rebounds. Again, in 8 minutes, I don't know if things aren't clicking for him right yet. If we just haven't had the right plays to go to him. We haven't played against the right team. If he was getting doubled too much. But I want to see Deron back. I want to see Deron playing to where we know he can play. And maybe he'll get there. Maybe, again, that's the point of having the deep team that we have, that you will have players that will have games that they fall behind. They don't produce or everything. That's, yes, the benefit, where we can kind of rely on other players to step up. And speaking of that, continuing where we like him and how he is surprising us, Armand Franklin. He didn't score a lot of points. He played 27 minutes, scored 5 points, was 1 for 5, 0 for 2 for 3. But what he did do was assist. He had 8 assists on the game with 0 turnovers. Now, I'm going to put a little asterisk next to that 0 turnovers, because there was a turnover that was most likely his fault. I remember him passing it down to Joey Brunk. He kind of put it in a bad place for Joey. Joey tried to kind of gather the ball, and he had it for a little bit, and then he lost it, and it went out of bounds. That turnover obviously went to Joey Brunk. That's also in the same sense where when you're watching football and you see the quarterback throw to a wide receiver and he kind of bobbles the ball up in the air and the defense catches the ball and runs it back. That's an interception against the quarterback when it should be against the wide receiver. Well, this one's kind of shares that same kind of thing where it's almost a shared turnover. Both are to fault for that. But again, I mean, that's only nitpicking and everything, because, I mean, again, this kid's a freshman and he's playing like this. It's just fantastic. I can't wait to see how he continues to grow and become a better Hoosier. One negative to just bring up real quick that was a real big positive for us last year was our free throw defense. Continues to struggle. Last night, we allowed Western Illinois to be 93% on 14 of 15 from the free throw line, We need to work on those numbers, guys. That's not good. That was something that we were able to hang our hat on last year. With these kind of early November games, these games that kind of help us ease into the season, with the depth of this team that we have, allows us to play different lineups and find what is going to work. What worked last night and what I love to see was the lineup of Rob, Al, Hunter, Smith, and Trace Jackson Davis. It seems when you say that like to be a kind of a small lineup, but very fast and athletic. It's not all that small with how big Justin Smith and Jerome Hunter are, but they were great at getting up and down. That lineup was very responsible for stretching out our leads as we went along the night. They were getting out and running. They found rhythm off the drive. There's great decision making that you had with Rob and Al. It was great. I mean, there was one moment specifically that where Rob and Al were on a fast break together. I believe Western Illinois had the numbers on us. They kind of did a little bit of passing back and forth, and it led to Rob getting an open 3 option from the corner, and he hit it. I mean, that's something that's fantastic. I mean, going into this season, when I was piecing together in my mind what the lineup for IU was going to be, I was thinking I only wanted to see Trace Jackson Davis at the 4. For me, I thought Joey and Duran, they've got that 5 position locked down. Again, Race can sprinkle in there a little bit, but those guys can be locked down. And everything that you heard, saw about Trace Jackson Davis was his size, but his speed, his decision-making, his athleticism. So I wanted to see that at the 4. I didn't want to waste that. I didn't want another Juwan Morgan moment where we have this great 4 player, this great power forward, and we're wasting him on the 5 because we don't have the size to occupy that position. Now we have that size. But I still think that we'll see him play the 4 in the bigger lineups. But man, he played that 5 really well with that athletic team. And if we can afford to have that lineup in there with how we match up against the other team, that is definitely my favorable currently lineup that we have. And again, you can sub in other guys, and I think we don't have the fall off like we would have with a smaller team. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, overall, again, a good game, a solid victory. We're undefeated. We will be back again. We play on Saturday at 2 p.m. against Portland State. That game is again on BTN Plus, so you need to continue to watch things on BTN Plus. But they've been replaying the games after they have aired on BTN Plus, to which this game will be aired tomorrow morning, Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the regular old BTN TV station. So check that out. I will be watching that definitely to kind of look back and see maybe some things that I missed. I feel like there's things that I missed during this game. Little nuances, things that happened off the ball. It's always nice as a Hoosier fan to go back and watch and see how those plays developed, what guys are doing off the ball, defensive things that you might have missed. So I always urge people to go back and watch the games a second time. Again, just because we're Hoosier fans and we can't get enough of this team. But so yeah, I think that's it. Then I'm going to cut it off there for this episode. Please, again, like, subscribe. Come check me out on Twitter at General Chadwick. I will update, send out a little tweet after the game where you can comment questions, comments, thoughts that you have. And then I will read those and maybe discuss those as we talk here in the mornings. So after that, just have a wonderful day. Go out there and be a wonderful Hoosier. Let's grab your coffee. Let's cheers to another victory. Have a good day, guys.